Pleased to say we've managed to sort out the IT with Douglas Fraser, our business and economy editor. And Douglas, we were talking about this call by Gordon Brown for the Scottish Government to work with UK ministers on salvaging the contracts at BiFab. So what is it that's gone wrong with those contracts?
Indeed, sorry about that, and fascinating about ghosts there, thank you very much. To rewind, BiFab has 2 yards in Fife, Buntisland and Methil, one near Stornoway. It was rescued from collapse a couple of years back by a Canadian firm, DF Barnes, with the Scottish Government brokering the deal. Provided £52 million of capital and loans, so that it now owns about a third of BiFab equity. Now, this is seen as the big hope for getting manufacturing jobs in the renewable energy industry, but for now it lies mothballed, because the jackets or platforms it could be building for offshore wind turbines are being built instead in Spain, the Arab Emirates, China, Indonesia. There have been strenuous efforts to ensure these big projects, backed by bill payers' subsidy in future, include more input from Scottish workers. But SSE's big Sea Green project off the Angus coast, it failed to include any Scottish fabrication work earlier this year. The next contract, and the last for several years, was for EDF's wind farm off the Fife coast, known as NNG. It was agreed that would have 8 of 54 turbines constructed by BiFab, and Scottish Government agreed to provide a £30 million guarantee that the firm would deliver as the contract required. Now, that guarantee was withdrawn. DF Barnes isn't willing to put up that money. As things stand, it looks like BiFab has effectively disqualified itself from securing the contract.
And that's where Gordon Brown stepped in.
Yes, as a former Labour MP for that part of Fife, he's still very involved in the area. He told me he's been lobbying the project developer, EDF, the Canadians at DF Barnes, trade unions, the UK government. He doesn't accept the explanation from Holyrood and thinks ministers here should be talking to ministers in London.
Well, this is a great company. I grew up with it as Buntisland Shipyard, as it's moved from shipbuilding to North Sea oil and gas, and now to the wind power revolution that's taking place in the North Sea. It won a £30 million contract. It's ready to start doing it. The company is desperate to do this contract, and now the government are pulling the plug from under it. Now, a few months ago, they said they would give it a guarantee that was necessary for the contract to go ahead. Now they're pulling away from the guarantee. They say it's to do with EU state aid rules, and I don't think that can be the proper explanation. And I want them to publish the legal opinion they say they have. I want them to work with the UK government. There should be a joint plan to deal with this problem that they say they've identified. And I want and will fight very hard for this order to go ahead.
So is this not an issue for the Scottish Government to sort out?
Well, the Scottish Government says it's not allowed to provide finance on terms that would not be commercially viable. So I'm told it could offer to back up a loss-making bid if there were profitable bids following in the pipeline. But having lost the Sea Green bid for work, there's nothing after this NNG contract for several years. And Holyrood doesn't have the flexibility that Whitehall has to test these subsidy rules with the European Commission or the European Court of Justice. Now, the trade unions, Unite and the GMB, now have legal advice that challenges the reasons given by the Scottish Government. They're also saying that there's a need to work with Whitehall and test these rules, while Gordon Brown's talking about potential judicial review of the Scottish Government decision.
What the Scottish Government appear to be saying, that they're banned by EU state aid rules from doing anything. I can't understand why they didn't know that when they gave the guarantee in the first place. They must have known that was the case. If they're worried about the state aid rules, they should be consulting the UK government, which is negotiating them. And the state aid rules that apply this year are not going to apply next year because we're leaving the European Union. I don't think that they've given us a proper and honest explanation of why a few months ago they could give a guarantee and then suddenly they pull it away. And I want to know why they have changed their mind when this is not only vital for Buntisland and Fife, it's 450 jobs for nearly 2 years. It's also vital if we are going to have a share in North Sea energy work in the future, in the wind and wave power work that is essential to build a renewables basis for your economy, then we've got to have firms like Buntisland Fabrication involved in this work.
Now, of course, there's politics here. The former Labour Prime Minister now leads a campaign group for the UK Union and wants to demonstrate that governments can work better together, to coin a phrase. And the door may be slightly ajar on this. Yesterday, trade unions met Scotland's Economy Secretary, Fiona Hislop, to challenge the withdrawal of the contract guarantee. The Scottish Government is now seeking a meeting with this Westminster Government, having picked up positive vibes coming north about this. EDF has not yet closed the door on a contract that it says it wants to award to BiFab. A remaining snag, though, is that these yards still need a lot of investment. They're competing with overseas yards that are highly efficient.
Douglas Fraser, our Business and Economy Editor, thanks very much.